But thank you guys. I know that this is like middle of the day, so it kind of feels like you get started with your stuff and then you stop and do a training webinar and then you get going with the rest of your to-do list for the day. But I can tell you guys, this is one of those things that, you know, even for me, that I am constantly like, hey, what can I do to learn from other coaches and see what they're doing to progress and what's working for them in their business. And I'm telling you guys, I picked the best of the best from our entire team to do these training webinars. And so you guys are definitely hearing from a top coach here by having Robyn Whitworth on the team call today. So I'm really excited to hear from her because Robyn is actually my old neighbor. We used to live down the street when I was in Idaho Falls. She was one of the first people that I invited to join my team. Some of you guys may have heard this story, but I can see that we have some new coaches on the call, so not everybody knows this, but Robyn and I go to church together when I was in Idaho Falls. And I knew that she was doing Beachbody fitness programs and had lost weight. I had, you know, witnessed this transformation. I knew that she had this health and fitness blog. And so when I'm getting started, I'm making my list of my dream team and the people that I want on my team. I'm looking at my neighbor, Robyn Whitworth, and I'm thinking, she would be amazing. She should totally do this with me. And so I did a Shakeology share, like, what do we call them again? Shake and shares. Okay. And if you haven't seen my video about that, I kind of give you all of my tips and advice for how I did this shake and share. And Robyn Whitworth is one of the people that I invited over to my house to try out Shakeology and to give it a test. And she totally was like, oh no, I make my own shakes. And this is, she didn't really, you know, buy into it. And apparently she ended up unfollowing me on Facebook for a period of time, and really didn't think what I was doing was a good idea. And 2 years later, she ended up messaging me and saying that she wanted me to come over to her house and explain this to her more. And I remember the day that she messaged me, I went to my husband, I'm like, you'll never believe who messaged me and wants more information about coaching. And he's like, who? And I'm like, Rob. He's like, no way. He's like, well, if she decides to do it, she would do amazing. And I'm like, I know she would. So here we are 2 years after that, and she is speaking on our team call. And I just am so honored that she would get on. She has built this business with 4 kids. Her kids are homeschooled. She was working, doing piano lessons out of her home. I know she was just super busy, and family is a priority for her. And so I felt that she would have some great tips for organization and prioritizing your time. So with that really long introduction, Robyn, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you. Did I do it right? I hope I did it right. If I didn't, somebody text me or put it down in the thing. Oh, Rikita already did. She's like, yes, Robyn, you're done. I get distracted looking at myself in the thing. Squirrel, right? So hopefully I'll remember to look at the camera, but if I don't, just whatever. I'm really excited to do this call, and Brigitte had mentioned before the call, she's like, I just noticed, I think you just did a webinar for us in January, and I was like, yeah, I noticed that too, but I was like, you know what? I really strongly believe in God and that things happen for a reason. And it's been so amazing how literally just the last like 3 weeks, I have dug in so deep to completely like reorganize, like, and get organized and to, you know, really put into play a lot of the stuff that I've learned on webinars and YouTube videos and books that I've read. And I'm like, okay, Robyn, you got to put this into practice. You've got to get, you know, things going a bit better so that, you know, you can be more disciplined and you can honor your hours and honor your family better. And so when she was like, can you do this call? And then I looked at some of the things that she thought would be useful for the team to, you know, add value. And I was like, you know what? I would love to do a webinar on this because it will
drive me forward to really solidify my thoughts on this and to make it useful for other people. So I wanted to start with this slide because honestly, as I was gathering all my thoughts and I just thought, I want to get really basic. I want to be like, what do I use? What is my exact system? What do I do? And as I was thinking about that, I'm like, you know what? The whole reason any of this even works is because my why is strong enough to make me do it. Because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my money. I don't want to waste any time I have because my family and, building this and building the income is so important to me. Health and my fight with diabetes and being overweight and then finally freeing myself from that through effective workouts and real food and finding the missing link of Shakeology, like those things like burn so deeply within me that just drives me to figure this out. Like, I'm not going to just throw darts in the dark and hope they hit something. I want to be meaningful. This better work. Like, I have 4 kids. I want to go on trips with my family. I want, you know what I mean? Your why. What is your why? And if it's like, oh, I want to make an income. Like, you guys know, we've heard so many things about whys, but your why has to be strong enough that what I'm going to tell you today can even happen. Because getting organized and being productive as a CEO in a business is not small potatoes, okay? It's a big deal to run a successful, thriving, consistent business and to have it grow. So your why needs to be strong enough that when it gets hard or when you don't want to sit down and be disciplined, that you do it anyway. So that's why this is my first slide, because your why starts it all. So if you're not sure what your why is, you're not sure if it's strong enough, if you're struggling to sit down and be disciplined and do your work when you know you should, then I suggest taking some time to develop that, watch some webinars on it, reach out to your upline, get some pointers on how to dig deep and develop why you're doing this. Okay, so kind of what I was talking about with this is not small potatoes. Building a successful full-time income network takes work, okay? Like, it takes a lot of work. Think about, I know that this is a network marketing business, but any business, a retailer, a food place, anything, they have to show up on time. They have to pay their electric bills. They have to put out a lot of advertising. They have to hire the right people. They have to have all of these things to make it work, to make it grow, to be successful. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of consistency. We're learning in Beachbody coaching, we have the opportunity to learn about marketing. You're going to learn about marketing. When you watch a webinar about effective challenge groups, that's what you're learning. You're learning marketing. Okay? That's what it is. You're learning strategy. You watch a webinar about organization and productivity, or maybe, how to effectively make a monthly marketing plan. You're learning strategy. How about coach placement? That's strategy. All businesses have them. Consistency over time. You've got to test your stuff over time to see what's going to work. You've got to give a business time. Customer service. Okay, we're learning about challenge groups. We're learning about free groups. We're learning the best ways to message to the scripts that we have. That's human relations, okay? HR department, right? And then money management, okay? We're learning how to reinvest, how much percentage, at least this is the way I think of it, when I get a paycheck from Beachbody, I give a percentage to personal development. I give a percentage to my family. Like, once I'm sure you get into a more full-time income, the money management is a little different. But those are all skills we get to learn as Beachbody coaches that want to be successful and make this a life-changing thing for our family. I remember when I was a brand new coach trying to figure out my schedule because I had never like she said, I was doing music lessons out of my home, and it was like, every afternoon for several hours. That was kind of set in stone. I had my babysitters. And I was like, oh, I have to get up early and I've got to stay up late, and I'm stressing about this and thinking about it all the time, and I was trying to improve, and it was starting to stress me out a little bit. And I was like, not being flaky on purpose, but I was missing some other, like maybe a play date at the park or forgetting some other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is stressing me out. And I had the temptation to like pull back and be like, oh, maybe I just bit off more than I can chew. I bet no one else has ever felt that feeling when they begin their Beachbody business. But it came to me, you know what, Robyn? This is what business owners do. They're invested and very interested in the success of their business. They're thinking about how it's going to improve. They're thinking about how to do things better. They're thinking consistently. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's what business owners do. And so a lot of time when I'm feeling stressed or when I'm jumping into a new training and it's getting hard and maybe I'm not enjoying it very much, but I know I need to do it because I committed or whatever, it comes to my mind that same thing, like what I have on the slide here. This is what business owners do. They show up, they do it, and you just do what you gotta do. The beautiful thing is, though, is that we have the tools. I believe that, this is my personal opinion, I guess, that God knew that our lives would get crazy. He knew, that things would just move on really fast in technology. And I also believe that we can be at home with our kids if we want. I know that many people in Brigida's downline are moms, so this will apply to you, but we want to be home with our families a lot. We want to spend time with family a lot. And I think technology is the most amazing blessing to allow us to work from home. We can work from home and reach everybody. We don't have to go traveling, and try to strike up business somewhere else. We have the tools. So you might look at this list and be like, duh, this isn't magical information. However, as I prepared for this, I thought, you know what? I want people to really understand that we do have the tools. We have the basic tools that you need to run a business. It's the same thing that you'll see in any other CEO's office. I've been to Beachbody Corporate. I saw Jeff Hill's office. Guess what? You know what I mean? It looks a lot probably like Brigida's, and Doug Moss's office looked a little bit different. You can tell his strategy was a little different. More notes and sticky notes and diagrams. My office is full of sticky notes and a whiteboard. You can see my whiteboard right here, and the way that I organize it is by color. Anyway, so I just listed some things on here. You'll need a computer, a laptop. You'll need a camera and some type of a recording feature for this job. You'll need a smartphone and with a notes feature. These are the things that have helped me to be organized and productive in this business. You'll need the internet, right? No brainer. But honestly, some people, I have a coach in my downline that her internet at her house goes in and out, and she's debated investing in, anyway. In the end, she did get better internet or whatever, and it's just funny how some little things people just don't see it as such a big business tool or something that could really help them. I put sticky notes on here. You guys, I love sticky notes. I didn't have them for a long time in my business, but when I started getting a bigger team, into the hundreds and several things going on, I realized I was forgetting stuff. I was missing stuff. I was forgetting my affirmations. And then this great idea came to me by watching a webinar similar to this one. Wow, I can use sticky notes. They're cheap. They go in the garbage real easy. They're small. All along the bottom of my iMac here, I have my affirmations and I have notes that I've taken from National Wake Up Calls, little questions, do I believe my story matters? And these little things that remind me, because I am a mom, and maybe it's just my personality, but I have a lot of things going on every day. My brain goes in several different directions. And it just kind of hones me in. When I sit down in this chair and I look at this, like, it just helps me get in the zone. It helps me to be able to be productive when I'm here. Okay? I even have some people laugh at this, so I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see. I suck at the time zones. And so I have this little cheat sheet sticky note that just says, okay, when it's this time at your house, this is Eastern, this is Pacific, this is Central. Like, as my team has grown, and I'll like schedule all these calls with people, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, they're in Eastern time, and I felt so dumb that I didn't realize what time it was. Those are just little things that have really, really helped me to just simplify. I've also used sticky notes in my planner. I got this passion planner, and as much as it's really great to like write everything down, I'll put like sticky notes in my planner because, you know, I might write down like a coach's information that's having a struggle with, you know, her order or something, and I'll just be like, you know what, I need to just put that in this week and remember that that happened, you know, or a training webinar that I listened to that week that I wanted to implement in my weekly planning. And so sticky notes are like my favorite. And then the next thing on the list is a planner. Now, I used to think that it was dumb that I had a calendar on my phone and a calendar on my computer, notes on my whiteboard, and then a planner too. I was like, there's got to be a way to condense everything. But what I've learned is that I use the monthly planner in the passion planner to write down like my monthly marketing plan, like when my free group is, when my coach sneak peek is, when my challenge group is going to start, so that I can visualize when those things are. And then I can use the weekly part of it to really strategize what has to happen on those days. And I also love the notes when I do, you know, one-on-one calls with my team. I can use this little notes section in the bottom to keep all my notes there, and I can remember, you know, when we get back on the next week for a one-on-one call, I can just flip back to what we talked about, and I can remember where they are in their business. And then having my calendar on my phone, I don't know about you guys with kids, but I'm in the car several times a day. Like, we're going to school, or we're going to go pick up this thing, or we're going to go grocery shopping, or we're going to, you know what I mean? Like, we're in the thick of life. And my phone, I honestly use reminders for like everything. If it's, I don't know, whatever it is, I have set like 5-minute reminder, 20-minute reminder, whatever it is, because it has been so useful for me to stay with what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. Like, I can't tell you how many one-on-one calls like I just like forget because I have a 2-year-old and he had to go to the bathroom, and I don't know, you know, stuff just takes your time. You end up having to throw a load of laundry in because he peed his pants or whatever, and then all of a sudden my phone buzzes and says, one-on-one call in 20 minutes with so-and-so, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And it, you know what I mean? So that might sound dumb to some of you, but I know for some of you, I'm like, my phone, like, that's going to help me so much. So my computer is set to do the same thing. That's just something that I have needed. It goes off on reminders. So today at like 11:40, it was like, team call with Brigitte, you're presenting. I mean, you know, it's so crazy. So having a cell phone that has a calendar where you can, you know, set little reminders for the things that you're doing is great. And then I have a little notebook. It's just a little one that I keep here. I mean, I use my sticky notes for kind of the same thing, but this is one that I'll take on retreats. I take it to Summit. It's just like a little bit smaller than the Passion Planner, and it can fit in my purse, and I can write down thoughts for posts. I keep it by my bed. I don't know how many of you guys, but when I like lay down at night or when I'm getting ready, like that's the time when my brain has that free time to think, and I'll like get these great inspirational post ideas. And so I'll either keep like sticky notes by my bed, or this little notebook just kind of travels around with me. And I write notes and different things so that when I'm like, I don't know what to post, I should post something inspirational. I could be like, oh yeah, I had that inspirational thought. Because I don't have, the one thing that I think, well, anyway, my husband works full time. And so, well, he works anyway, so I haven't had the opportunity to have my husband be a partner in this business with me. And so it's just been me home alone. And so the reason I was going to bring that up is I know that some people can have like dedicated, no interruption, like Beachbody business time. That like happens for me maybe 2 hours a day at this time. In the beginning, it was like never. But having this little notebook helps me because when I do have that time to sit down, it's productive. You know, I can bring those thoughts back to my mind that I had. And then like Google Mail, Google Docs, I hope everybody uses those, or Dropbox or whatever it is. Like if you could see my computer now, I have like 25 tabs open in my Google Docs because that is the way me and my team communicate really effectively, is through Google links and sharing documents and presentations, and I mean everything. Google Docs is like my lifesaver as a mom because I can also have the Google Docs app on my phone so that when I'm, on the go and someone's like, can you send me that document, or what's that post on this thing, or, you know, when I'm sitting there in the parking lot waiting for my kids after gymnastics or whatever, I can just open Google Docs on my phone and share the link there as well. It's pretty dang awesome. So these are just some of the things that I use. Facebook, Instagram, blog, websites, email. Those are all other tools that we have that is amazing to build a successful business. These are some of the apps that I use all the time, at least like once a day, probably. To be, again, I'm getting very basic. Some of you might be like, what is this? But I know there's some newer coaches on the call, and for me as a new coach, this would have been useful to kind of have a list of some key apps. And I know that I talked to Brigitte early on in my coaching, you know, I think it was a Scout event. I'm like, okay, tell me some of your favorite apps. Like, what should I be having? And so she went through her phone and was like, this one and this one and this one. Anyway, so these are some of the apps that I really like. I have an iPhone, so I don't know if these work for everybody, but again, the Google Docs app, Zoom, so that I can, you know, chime in on calls whenever I need to. Collage photo apps. My favorites is just like Word Swag, Pick Collage, and Pick Play Post. I say just pick a couple. You don't need to have like 1,000 on your phone, but Timer Cam, I know that my phone has a timer, but Timer Cam is just easy. I just like push the button, and it's just something I've used for a long time now that works really well for taking those workout photos or being able to take a selfie with my kids because I'm not skilled enough to be able to like push the button and hold my phone. Anyway, because I know that as Beachbody coaches, we want to show our life and we want to like capture those moments multiple times a day. And for me, Timer Cam really, really comes in handy. It's like right there, one of the apps that's on the front page of my phone. The Challenge Tracker app, I have started using that in my last few groups, and I am loving it. I am loving it so much. So that's on my front page of apps too, that I can just log in to my challenge group at any time, and I'm not going to get distracted with Facebook. I'm not going to get distracted with anything else, any notifications. It's just my challengers, and I really, really like that. So that's one that I have, and then obviously your social media ones you can have, but I highly, highly suggest that you have all notifications off. Because if you're constantly getting push notifications, there is no way you are going to be. There's just no way. Like, unless you're really, really good about putting your phone away, but for most people, they have their phones available. I mean, so I have all my notifications off, and then when I sit down to work, I can get into them and see what's going on, but I don't have any push notifications on at all. And so those are some of the things. All right, so make sure. So I know that some of you are like, okay, I've got all these tools. I've had this since the beginning. How do I organize my time? How can I be effective? You know, what are some strategies to figure out what my priorities are? I know that Brigitte is probably smiling to herself because she knows how many messages I've sent to her saying, I can't figure out what my priorities should be. I can't figure out what my goals even are. Like, how do I do this? How do I visualize? How do I get my brain to like focus? And I will be honest, it's still not like a super like amazing thing that I do, but I have learned a lot about it. And I'm going to share with you what I have learned that has worked. Because obviously my team is growing and I'm making a full-time income, so something I'm doing is working, okay? So I don't know if this is very small or too big for you, but I will read what's on this slide. But one thing I had to learn, and I learned it first in compound effect and again in slight edge, about goals versus your priorities, and how priority is the thing that you give time and money to. I loved, as Success Club earners, I can't remember when it was, October or something, but we earned a call with Darren Hardy, and he said, people don't know what their priorities are. I say, give me your bank account, your bank statement, and your daily planner, and I will tell you what your priorities are. And that really, really hit me, because I was like, so whatever you're spending your time, or whatever you give your money to, is what your priorities are. If Beachbody doesn't happen to be on that list very much, then don't be surprised if your Beachbody business isn't growing very much. Does that make sense? Your priorities need to align with your goals or they don't work out. That's where stress happens. And I think that that's explained in compound effect, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think it's slight edge, actually. If you have a goal to lose weight and yet you don't put priority on meal planning and scheduling in your workout, it will cause you stress that you're not losing weight and nothing's happening. And you'll just have this big dilemma with yourself because what you're giving time and money to is not going towards your goal. Now, when I first started this business, my family was a big part of my goal. And yet I put them off a lot, hurry and answer this message before family prayer, or hurry and shoot off this email that took me an hour to write when we were supposed to be having this family movie time. And I would justify it being okay, I gotta just do this. I gotta do this. But really, it started causing a problem with me, giving me feeling stressed about this business because I was not honoring what my true priority was. Even though the goal was to grow Beachbody, I wasn't honoring this priority very well. And so it caused me stress. It's not that Beachbody was bad or not good for my family. I wasn't managing it well. So I had to change up, where I was going to do the business. I didn't even have to change my goal per se, but I had to change how it was happening. So you'll see these examples, if family is a big goal with you, then you need to really schedule out your time so that when it's time to be with your family, you're with your family. There's no back and forth. You turn off your phone, you put it in a drawer, whatever it is, you leave and you're 100% with your family. They deserve that. You deserve that. So, creating a schedule, sticking to it is the biggest thing. I know new leadership conference, that's what Melanie Mitro said that really stuck out to me. She was like, if you feel anxiety about this business, if you feel stressed at all, it's 100% because you are not honoring hours. You are not being disciplined with your time. Once you get disciplined with your time, it's not stressful anymore. Because when you sit down to work, you work and you're done. And you know that you've done everything that you needed to do to reach your goal. And so some of you are like, well, I only have 1 hour a day. How am I supposed to get all this done? It depends on what your goal is. If you want to be a 15-star coach in 5 months, your schedule is going to look a lot different than somebody that's I'm going to reach Success Club 5 every month. That schedule would look a lot different. You only need maybe an hour a day to do that. If money and building a big income, obviously your schedule is going to look a bit different and you need to be disciplined and be getting consistent training in all those areas. The strategy, the marketing, those types of things. You should always be ongoing in training. If money is something that you need, that's a goal of yours in this business. And same thing with health. We talked about an example with health a few minutes ago. If you want to change your health, you've got to be disciplined and have a schedule. Anything that you want to change, any habit, you guys are seeing this pattern, you have to schedule it in and be disciplined. And whether or not that works goes back to my first slide. If your why is big enough, you will figure it out. Having fun. That was something I didn't schedule in before. I just figured it would happen naturally, but it didn't. And before Beachbody, honestly, we didn't schedule a lot of things. We were a lot more like by the seat of our pants, which can be okay. But now that we schedule it in and my husband and I are on the same page, it's actually really a lot more fun. And again, a lot more freeing because I'm like, okay, we have this. We sit down every month together and decide every month we do a really fun family thing one weekend. It might be in town, it might be going, a couple hours away, whatever it is. But we schedule family fun time and we schedule it in. And what's awesome about that is we know what's going to happen. The kids know what's going to happen. It's a family. Once a month, we also have a family council, and that's when this kind of comes in. But anyway, so he doesn't schedule anything and I don't schedule anything. And when that weekend comes, we've both been able to like front load our week so that we are completely free. Everything's ready to go that weekend. So sometimes when it's spur of the moment, it can still be fun. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking about all that work you should be doing. So if you schedule in your fun, you're free. Your brain is completely free to just go and have a good time. You're not going to be wondering who's messaging you on your phone because you already took care of it. So scheduling in your fun was something that we didn't always do, but we've been doing it for about 6 months now, and we love it. It is totally, again, it's just freed up our minds because we know what it is and we know when it is, and it's just awesome. So more about understanding how goals work. This is something that, in my mind, I had to figure out doing a couple of different things. So let's talk about goals first of all. When you make a goal, share it with your spouse. Share it with your kids. Share it with your upline. Share it with your team. Share it with your challengers, whatever it is. Like, share your goal with people. Because that just helps you to be more accountable and to make it more real. And some people don't like to set goals because then they feel guilty or bad when they don't reach them. But the reason we need them is because a goal then kind of gives you a vision or a plan, a jumping off point, whatever it is, to move forward. Our brains actually work best that way. They need direction. They're like a child that needs direction. You give it a direction and it will start figuring out how to go there. I don't know if you've read the book Think and Grow Rich, but they kind of get more into the science of that. And also the book, many personal development books actually talk about that process, how your brain needs a physical direction to move, to figure things out. Otherwise, it does just jump everywhere. So anyway, goals and plans give you a direction. But the important thing is one thing I've noticed in my team, and I see kind of similar things happening with, a lot of the comments that happen in coach pages, or even like neighbors and other people that are not coaches, when they're struggling, trying to figure out why they're not reaching their goals or changing, when they have this grand vision of something, it's because they're not being honest. They're not being real with where they are right now. So, as an example, about a year ago, I had this affirmation. I'm a 5-star elite coach, and I have this team, and it was a great affirmation. The problem is that I hadn't actually planned out how that was going to happen really, clearly. And so I would get frustrated and disappointed that I was putting this out into the world and believing it when I looked at my daily behaviors, I was not doing the daily behaviors to be a 5-star elite coach. I wasn't. And when I came to that realization, it was actually kind of hard. But it was really, really important to realize exactly where I was so that I could move on, so that I could move forward. A lot of coaches have this, vision, or not even just coaches, just people, but you'll have this vision of what you want, what you see, what you know you're capable of. And yet you don't take the time to sit down and talk with a success partner or reach out to your upline or to take a training class on how to actually achieve it. Okay? I realized that I didn't know a ton about social media marketing. I realized that I wasn't very good, like I explained earlier in the call, about being really disciplined with planning and having a monthly marketing plan that I was executing every month really, really consistently. And so I was like, well, you can't expect yourself to be at this level when you're not doing the behaviors, so let's figure this out. So I enrolled myself in a social media training business coach thing. I invested some money in that. I ordered this book, which has been like Changing the 12-Week Year by Brian Moran, that Brigitte suggested to me when I reached out to her about learning more about goal planning, how to be more effective. So don't believe that you're doing something when you're not, okay? Be accountable, own where you are, own your choices and own your decisions. And if you're simply not doing everything to reach a certain level, don't get mad at yourself. Just realize that's where you are. But it's important to do that. It's important to sit down and say, what am I doing? Am I doing what it takes to get to the goal that you want? And so I put reach out to your upline, always be in a training group. That's something that has really, really helped me, that I know helps my coaches as well, is to always be in a training group. I think I did the Emerald to Diamond training like 3 times. Even when I became a Diamond, I still did it because I'm like, I still need to solidify these skills, and it helps me to like keep myself on a schedule of improving and what to post and those types of things. And then I joined a leadership group, and then I did a Diamond group. Like, there are several groups that I just keep doing, and I find that that's been key in keeping me consistent with keeping my mind open for ideas and consistent with my personal business. Sometimes as leaders, we can get stuck in managing our team instead of moving our personal business forward, so that's always been good. And then show up in your own team and in your upline page, like daily. Show it, like cheer on other people. The biggest thing is to be the coach that you want. If you're like, oh, my people aren't working, oh, they're not reaching success level, like, then blow it out of the water yourself. And you will hone your skills so much that you will be able to write a document about how to duplicate that success. So be the coach that you want on your team. If you want your team in your team page, you better believe you better be in your upline's team page, cheering and sharing, and you know what I mean? Be that coach. And then when it comes time for when your coaches reach out to you, you will have great insight to share. And realize that it takes like consistent effort to like learn these things. It also takes consistent change. Like, I know that it's going to be different when I'm a 5-star coach than it is right now. I know that. My daily processes will be different. My sticky notes will say different things. I'm going to expect that because obviously what I'm doing right now is not exactly what a 5-star coach would be doing, or I would be a 5-star coach, okay? But line upon line, it will change a little bit. Every one of these webinars or every national wake-up call, there's always those little nuggets that give you just, you know what I mean, a little push going to the next step, to the next step, and the next step. And every time that you take this step, you're moving forward, and it's awesome. And all of a sudden, you'll wake up one day and be a 2-star coach, and then a 3-star coach, and it just happens. But you have to expect that change. Okay, you're going to expect time changes, schedule changes, your family life will change. My kids have gotten older. Nap time doesn't exist anymore. When I first started my business, I could use nap time. I can't do that anymore. So, like, things will change. So realize that if you're not where you want to be, you need to change. Like, stuff has to change. You either need to be inviting more or getting more organized or just realizing that you've got to change. And I know that some people wanted to get on this call and be like, she's going to share, at least this is what I would think. She's going to share her personal calendar. We're going to know how she totally does this. But I thought my goal right now is probably different than a lot of people's goals. So my calendar isn't like something everybody's going to duplicate. But I know that from seeing like Melanie Mitchell's calendar and Brigitte's calendar and seeing how they've done it helped me to visualize like what mine not only is going to look like someday, but just the layout of it, their thought process. So at the end of this call, I did want to share kind of my personal tips, my personal things that are going on. And I shared that I use Google Calendar and I use alerts I use iPhone alerts. I use the Passion Planner. I use Google Docs a lot. I have my website or my blog through WordPress because as I've learned about email marketing and about integration and all those things about online business, I learned that WordPress was really great. So I've done my blog through WordPress. And the other thing is I do have 4 kids, and I've learned that they're just going to be part of my business. In the beginning, I was like annoyed when they would like bother me while I was working, or honestly, my son sits on my lap a lot. He's 2, he's going to be 3 soon. And I have to break and take him to the potty, and we get snacks, but I like to work in the morning so that I have all afternoon to relax with my kids and make a dinner and be there for my husband when he comes home, and there's no distractions at that time. So it's made it so that my daughter that's homeschooled, my other 2 are actually in public school since the end of January for a myriad of reasons, but I do have my daughter that homeschools right here on this computer behind me, and I help her with her stuff. I mean, just yesterday, I was working out, and I had her spelling list in front of me, and we did a spelling test while I did Total Body Hammer, okay? It's okay to integrate your kids' lives and your kids' goals with your Beachbody business. That is one of the great things about this business is it's a lifestyle, and a lot of times your family can be doing it with you. You know, if I'm at the park and they're enjoying themselves and I'm like getting mom time, I might take an opportunity to post about that on my phone, and then I go put it back in the van, and then I, you know, like, you can totally integrate like what's going on in your family's lives with your business. And it's just those little things. When you have to really sit down and, you know, create content or create a duplicatable system for your team, yeah, you might have to say, okay, guys, you know, go out and play Legos for 20 minutes. I'm going to create this thing. Please don't bother me. Like, the other thing is, though, is they know why. I've explained to them. Mom helps people change their lives so that they can have choices like we have. And they can have healthy moms like you guys have. So it's important that you guys don't bother me during this time. And they get that. They're not too young to understand what I'm doing and the impact that I have. And, you know, me and my husband have sat and talked to them about this. That, you know, mom's working in the morning at this time, and we're creating this life that's allowing us to go to Legoland, that's allowing us to not have debt, which is a goal of ours, and the kids, like, they're getting it. They're understanding. They can be part of your goals. So when you need the alone time and the time to be, you know, explain it to them, and it's okay. You don't have to feel guilty. I think that they are proud of me. They see my Success Club points. They know where I am every month. They're like, Mom, you're not at Success Club yet. And I'm like, I know. But it's been fun. Like, they're just part of the Beachbody lifestyle with me. And when we're going in the car, I turn on personal development in the car. And I think it's only going to benefit them when they listen to that stuff at their age. So when I first started the business, I kind of felt like I had to hide it, like do it early in the morning and late at night. If I was sitting on my computer, I felt bad. And that's why I included this little thing at the bottom that I don't hide anything that I do with my business. Like, I don't know why I thought that in the beginning. It's just part of the change I had to go through. But now it's just all out in the open, like everything. They know everything about the business, and it's been awesome. Again, it just frees up everything. And so I wanted to show you guys my default week. This is, I only have one more slide, but this is my default week, which means this is what shows up every week in my Google Calendar. But on Monday, I put this little arrow, this pink arrow showing I have a weekly planning time where I'll sit down and like adjust it. Because like say this week, I had this call right here and, this is Tuesday. I would have put, you know, Team Forward Fitness call right here. And then tomorrow, I know that I have a success partner call. I'm going to, you know, inject that right here. And my daughter's got a party. I'm going to inject that down here. So like at this time on Mondays, I'll look at my week, everything. These are the things that need to happen or that usually happen. Like I said, it's my default week. But then I adjust it on Mondays. It only takes like 10 or 15 minutes to kind of adjust where things need to happen. But for the most part, this is what my week looks like. But obviously my vitals don't take me 2 full hours. But honestly, sometimes they do. If I include a blog post and I'm trying to like have a link, and you guys know that stuff takes time, this might only take me 1 hour. And then I have that much more free time. Like, this business doesn't have to take a ton of hours. But this keeps me on schedule. So when I am sitting here, or I've integrated it on my phone too, it'll say, hey, you're supposed to be working on this. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know? And a lot of this came about by learning from Melanie Mitro and Anita Myron. And again, 12-week year, he talks about how to schedule your time, and it's been amazing. So much more freeing in my brain to really just get disciplined. Brigitte put that she loves buffer time. I have loved having this buffer time because that's the thing that I think most coaches in this business get distracted with, is they'll sit down to do like emails and messages and posts, and for some reason it takes like 4 hours before they even know what happened, and they feel like it's taking over their lives. But you're like, no, I just have this time where I can just like do what I need to do and check stuff that I need to check. So I have buffer time twice a day, and that's the only time that I check my stuff. So it really, really helps. And then this last slide, I think this was a turning point for me when I posted this last summer. If you're lucky enough to find a way of life that you love, you have to find the courage to live it. This business is an incredible opportunity to totally live our lives by design. Everything I explained to you in this webinar, I designed it like to work around my family. I designed it to work around what I can do and what I know, what my goals are. Like, other jobs you don't. They give you your schedule. You come in at this time, you do this task, you can leave at this time, this is when your lunch is. Like, no, we can completely create our lives all around what we want, but it takes discipline. It takes work. It takes change. It takes some sacrifice. But that's the life that I want. I want to design it. I want to create, this incredible I'm creating it. Our family's had an incredible year this last year as my income has grown and as my health has grown, and as we've helped so many other people get healthy and get hope in their lives. It just increases the happiness and joy in our life. But it takes that discipline. It takes, courage to buckle down and do it and believe that it's going to be worth it. I get a little bit emotional when I talk about this, but it really is. If you're lucky enough to find a life that you love, then you have to have the courage to live it. And that is the end of my webinar.
Thank you so much, Robyn, for getting on this call. I am sitting here thinking, even for myself, I know some of these things I'm like, I remember telling this to Robyn, but a lot of things I'm like, this is what I needed to hear for myself too. And I remember Robyn coming back from the New Leadership Conference and sharing that quote with me from Melanie. And that's been a big thing for me this year on if I'm ever stressed, it's because I'm not sticking to my schedule, I'm not honoring my priorities, and being disciplined. And so, for myself, this is something that I've been working on a lot too. And I think it's something that you constantly get to fine tune, because I know I'll feel like I've got it down, I'm good, and then I throw something into the mix like learning how to fly or whatever, and new church calling, and then I'm like, okay, now I gotta rework everything. But anyways, thank you so much for getting on this call, Robyn. And I know that sometimes it can feel like, okay, there's only a couple people on this call. But even if it just significantly impacts one person's life and they're like, this is exactly what I needed to continue growing in my business, it's worth it. And there's certain people I can see are on this call that I had in mind that I'm like, I know this is going to be really powerful for them. So thank you all for getting on this call. I will post the recording up as soon as possible in the team page so you guys can share with your teams and review this. I think this is a call that you'll want to share with any new coaches that are getting started so they can do it right from the beginning. So thank you all for being on, and I will see you in the team page.